Joan Jennings. I'm the Chair of the Public Art Committee. It's Wednesday, October 13th, 2021 at 2 p.m., and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Marissa, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Ms. Jennings?
Here.
Ms. Gregory?
Here.
Mr. Meals?
Here.
Ms. Robinson?
Here.
Mr. Sallow?
Here.
Mr. Stackhouse?
Here.
Ms. Hennessy?
Present.
I just wanted to inform everybody that Diane received an email from Mr. Stackhouse saying that he will be going on this fabulous adventure and will miss the November and December meetings, so he has an excused absence. And we wish you well, and maybe at the end of the meeting you could fill us in on some details.
All right.
Okay, great. We have a guest today, sculptor Mike Elwell, who'll be making a presentation to us. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? Are there any comments, changes? I'd like to entertain a motion to accept as submitted. Bill, second?
Second.
Trish? Minutes of September 8th, 2021, accepted as submitted. As a courtesy to Mr. Elwell, we're going to move him up in the agenda. He's one of our, he's a sculptor with a proposal for us. He sent us some materials which are in our backup. So, Mr. Elwell, if you would like to come to the podium and. Mm-hmm. Right, I'd also like to note that Mr. Elwell has filled out the public art proposal for, you know, with all the details of, you know, his idea for the pack. Mr. Elwell, please.
All right. Well, my journey as a sculptor was kind of, how would I put it, long and extended. Very briefly, I have not had any art background whatsoever. Have a law degree, but that didn't help in any way as far as the art. But I had a friend that had Parkinson's, and he was a wood carver. And he was a close friend, and at one point his Parkinson's overtook him and he could no longer complete his wood carvings. And so I said, Duke, why don't we make molds of some of your pieces and see if we can't cast them in bronze, and that way you can market them. And he said, well, okay, but how do we do this? And I said, I don't know. I'm at the University of Kansas and I can go up and ask questions. And long and short, I built a small foundry back in the 70s. And I blew it up a few times, but gradually I learned a little bit more not to blow it up. And so I started casting his work. Well, gradually people kind of filtered in and said, well, would you cast something of mine? This went on. So I had an art casting foundry for almost 45 years. Oh, wow. At one point I had 8 employees, and it just grew. And pretty soon I found myself doing so much touch-up work on waxes that people would bring to have cast. After a while I thought, God, you know, I think I could do some of these things, because I'm kind of looking at some of the heads that were brought in and thinking, you know, that eyeball probably doesn't look real good in the middle of the forehead. We might want to drop it down a little, and nose, you know. So touching up all these things, it's amazing what you can learn. And gradually, since I had the foundry, I've been really more interested in whimsical things, things that make people smile and laugh. And with the foundry, I could kind of indulge myself because I had a full-time job and I didn't have to make a living at it. So I really didn't much care if they didn't sell, which at this point in my life, I'm beginning to think, I wish some of them had sold because I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with them. So long and short, I accumulated a lot of my own work, other work by other artists, I did the Loveland Show for years. Pretty much one of the original artists there, maybe in the first 2 years, that you may not be acquainted with that, but it became the largest sculpture show in the world. It's huge. And anyway, that being kind of an entree, I went down, I had a divorce and decided I was going to move to St. Pete, and that was about 12, 13 years ago. But I had all this collection of artwork that I drugged down to St. Pete with me and put in my studio. And so I thought, what am I going to do with this? So I thought, well, I'll go down to Beach Drive and see who's interested. And the Red Cloud Gallery, Indian Gallery, that's been there about 28 years, run by Harriet and Steve. And I said, look, I've got this bench piece. Would you be interested in displaying it? And Harriet kind of said, well, I don't know. What does it look like? And so I showed her a picture. And she said, well, yeah, we'll put that outside. So I did that. And then about, oh, I don't know, months later, a fellow that owned Waters Jewelry says, well, do you have any more of those? I'd like one in front of my business. Well, that grew. Eventually, I had 5 pieces there in one block of Beach Drive. And somehow in this process, I apparently got crosswise of the Arts Commission, because I had just gone to the owners of the business and said, would you like one of these? Without any official approval, what have you. And but they were all on private property. They all fit within a little alcove in front of the storefront, so I wasn't on the public sidewalk. And it's been a blessing and a handicap at the same time, because in terms of popularity, these are really popular pieces with the people. Pictures gone all over the world, and particularly the fact that they're kind of interactive. They're designed to have somebody sit, get the kid's picture, and then they forward them. I mean, it's funny, I was on Match.com, and it was interesting how many women had pictures on my benches. And he would say, I can introduce you to the artist. Anyway, the casting book that you have kind of shows you a little bit about when you're comparing sculptures and outdoor pieces and safety, maintenance. There are a lot of things to take into account. And what I was mentioning is pieces have been there almost 10 years and they've never been vandalized, which not the same thing as saying they don't get old and tired looking, because with so many people handling and sitting, probably as a rule of thumb, I think about if they're in a public spot, maybe every 6 to 7 years, it's good if they can be cleaned and don't need to do a full patina, but a repatina, new, lacquers, and see how it looks. And most of them can be brought back, so they're almost just brand new. If you want to start the whole process, you have to strip it down. But so that being said, I think if there was a vote taken in St. Petersburg, I think some of these would be at the very top of the public. They just like them, and they're very popular. The fact that they're kind of whimsical. The Pelican, just as an example, has on a Florida shirt with pink flamingos. So now we have the Pelican wearing, and then flip-flops.
Have to get rid of that Tampa Bay, though.
Well, yeah, that can be.
Good try.
Yeah, well, I wish they'd done better. Oh, well. God, they had their chances.
Right.
Oh, well, another story. But the hat, all it has, the only thing is there's this TB, which is Tampa Bay
Right.
logo on the hat. That can be taken off, and you can put anything you wanted on the hat within reason. I mean,
Right.
I can't do 12
Right,
pages of text. But anyway, the pieces are available. This is the one that I was kind of pointed to suggest. And if you have any questions, this weighs maybe 500, 600 pounds. It's not like somebody can pull up in the middle of the night and run off with it.
Right.
And like I say, they've never been vandalized. At one point, I kind of chained them down, and then I gave up on it. Nobody No, they just sit there,
Yeah.
and nobody messes with them.
Well, personally, I love the idea, and I love the whimsical pelican for, selfie opportunities. We had a proposal a number of years ago for a concept similar to this, and the artist vanished. So we even have a place for it, right, Diane? We have a home for him already.
Can I see the actual piece?
Oh, sorry.
Well, you look like you're doing pretty good.
And you, and you have the others for sale as well, right?
I do.
Correct?
I do. I kind of got
They're in
tired
your
of the,
handout.
no offense, but with the city of St. Pete, since I had circumvented apparently the Arts Commission, I was persona non grata. And I never could undo that. It was just, well, you didn't ask for our permission, so. It's been proposed to the city a couple of times. I get a lot of, gosh, we love them, but if we buy them, we will have to put them in a public place, since they're on private property right now. And they said, we like them where they are, and we get them for free. So we aren't gonna do anything.
Right.
And with this stroke, I kind of got to thinking, maybe it's time for me to be a little more proactive and see if they can find a home.
Well, I think we're a lot more benevolent in Tarpon Springs.
Well,
Well, I think also that the TD could actually be changed to TS.
Yes, right.
Very easily.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a high polish. In other words, the letters are on there, and it'd be
Right.
very easy to do that, apply them, and then polish those
I love
back.
it.
Yeah, yeah, I love the pelican and I love the seahorse bench. Lucienne, any comments?
They're delightful, all of them. As I said, my concern really has nothing to do with the merits of this proposal. I'm looking at the various projects we have
Right.
in front of us, and I feel like I'm sort of in the middle of a kaleidoscope and can't quite focus the pattern yet. I know we're facing a big budget item with the Black Heritage Project.
Right.
Diane has suggested a water sculpture that we're exploring, which will be another major
Right.
budget item. So I'm feeling a little nervous about accepting projects on a case-by-case basis
Right.
at this point in time.
Right,
Has nothing to do with the appeal of these. They're,
Yeah, I'd like to remind everybody, since it's over our $15,000 threshold, it would have to get final approval from the Board of Commissioners. So, just wanted to remind you about that. That's one of the things in our ordinance. Bill, how do you feel?
What was our budget on the Pelican that we were looking for?
I think it was about
He gave them to us.
18?
Yeah, that's
That
what I
was
was
like
thinking.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 15 to 20
Yeah.
is what, so this isn't that far out of
Right.
that. Yeah, I think it's delightful. I think it's one of the, I like the whimsical nature of it.
Exactly.
I think it takes us in a different direction than what the historical pattern that we've kind of been in. So I think it looks great. I do share some of the concerns, just to make sure that
Right.
we are budgeting things properly, with
Right,
the
yeah, I
direction that
think,
we're going.
right, I think it'll take some, delving into the budget, but I just want to get everybody's feel about whether we should delve. So,
Yeah, I think we
Okay,
should
I-
try to figure out what direction we're
Right,
going and
right.
what things are possible.
okay, Trish?
I love it. I love it. I'd like to do it.
Okay, so you want to delve? David?
I second that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert?
I think the price and concerns with all the other projects we have really does eat into it. If you were gonna donate it, just think of us as a shop on Beach Drive.
Store it for you
And,
for a while.
I'm still a little concerned about that this is a big bunch of money coming out of our little bit of a budget.
Right,
So I'm concerned about that.
right. Debbie?
I like it, but I would also be concerned about our financial bottom line. But I would like to explore the possibility.
Okay. So, Mr. Elwell, I think if it's okay with you, I think we're going to just work with Marissa and take a look at our budget and see what we could do. And then, as I said, you know, it seems like everybody's in favor of it. And then we'd have to bring it before the Tarpon Springs Board of Commissioners.
All right.
Did you decide on which one you're interested in? Is it definitely the Pelican, or are you entertaining anything else?
I think the Pelican.
Yeah.
Lucianne, if we were to do one, would it be the Pelican?
No objection.
Okay, Bill?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm for the Pelican,
Yes.
all the way around.
Pelican.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you for bringing this to us. They're really wonderful.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have good news for you.
Does anybody have the?
Should we pass it down?
Fun piece of art.
I love it.
I do too. I like that better than anything.
So Mr. Elwell will be in touch?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you so much.
I looked at it and immediately I smiled.
Right, exactly.
I said, this is what we need.
Cast this piece at a foundry, today's prices, I don't think you can get it cast for less than about $24,000. That's just the casting, that's not the mold, that's not finished, that's not welded together. By the time you cast and blast, and then you start in with the real work, which is welding it together, chasing the patina, I think that's about where you'd be.
Yeah. No, it's a, right, it's a great price, it's a great piece. I think we just have to squeeze it into the budget somehow.
Sure. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we're back to the agenda. We're on old business. The Girl Scout troop, storm drains. Diane, do you want to bring us up to speed on that?
They are close to starting the project. They've got 2 storm drains they're going to be doing, and they're going to give us their list of, thank you, list of supplies shortly. So they're definitely moving forward and should be done before the holidays, so.
Yeah, I have to say that Diane got a email that just continues their track record of being professional. I still want to elect them to Congress, I don't know. I'm sorry.
So it
Okay,
is moving
so
forward.
that's in the hopper. Okay, the Tarpon Springs High School mural project at Sunset Beach, update. We got an email from Lisa Fatalidis, the high school principal, that this year students were not interested in pursuing the project. She suggested I email 2 of the art teachers, which I did yesterday. I got a result from Miss
Yeah.
Marmella's. And again, she said that they don't seem to be interested. So I suggested that, oh, and I did get an email from, Police Chief Young saying that he really wants to keep this alive. And maybe we'll bring it up again in the spring and see whether, we could get them to come up with some sketches. And, I guess they want us to hold that space for them. Yes, Robert?
Does this have to be a Tarpon Springs school, or could it be a county
I was
school?
going to ask.
Well, we've already started working with Tarpon Springs High.
Yeah.
What about Eastlake?
Well, I was thinking of the Pinellas County Culture and the Arts, PCCA. It's down in Gibbs, but they're made up of
Yeah,
county students.
right.
And it's a magnet art school, so you ought to get some really interesting things from
Right.
them. And that
Maybe
would get-
maybe we could do another project with them, if you want to look into it. I think that's a great idea, because we have a lot of different opportunities. But it seems like they sort of staked a claim to that one particular wall on Sunset Beach. I think politically, it might be dicey to go off the reservation on that one.
I guess so, but if they don't want it,
Well, that's,
I mean, that's the thing.
I feel like Solomon here holding the baby up by its legs. I don't know what to do with it, but,
Did they give a reason, or was it just, did they not have enough time, or another project?
They did cite in the email that a lot of the students didn't have transportation after school to stay afterwards, to work on the project, and some of them had jobs. But there is the weekend, so,
That is true.
I don't know. That was what was told to me, so.
Bill?
Oh, potentially, maybe look at the middle school too, reach out to the art, art teachers in the middle school and see if there's any interest in that group. Maybe we have to dive down a little bit further.
Or St. Pete College art student,
Yeah.
do a contest with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there any way to reach out? It was Officer Young, correct?
Yeah, Police Chief Young.
Police Chief Young. Could we reach out to him and see what he suggests since it was his idea, or?
Well, he was in the meeting with me when we originally went to the school, oh gosh, a couple of weeks ago, and we met with the students, and it was just an initial gathering to kind of tell them about the project and everything, and so then we left it at that they would convene and come up with some drawings, and then present them to the Public Art Committee, and so I followed up with them, and that's the responses that I got, is that nothing has come to pass, so not really sure what to do now.
Yeah.
Because maybe he could get them excited about doing, every Saturday or something like that.
Well,
since
he
it
was there, and he couldn't get much of a rise out of them, so, I don't know.
David, would you have the time to maybe go over to the high school and talk to a couple of the art teachers?
Do a pep rally out of there? Shake a rattlestick? or something?
Pep rally.
I think you're closer in age to those kids.
Yeah.
You might resonate with
I'm gonna
them.
need some gifts and some
Right.
Starbucks cards
There
and
you
stuff
go.
like that.
Yeah.
I might be able to get them up.
I think the teenage girls would probably rally around listening to you.
Possibility, maybe. Maybe.
Okay. All right. While you're back up, Dave, Sports Field Mural Project, Bill and David.
Well, I think everybody can look in their packets and see some of the work that Joan produced and David as well.
David's is far superior, so ignore mine, please.
Not too much further.
I guess looking for any comments and feedback based on those.
Can I speak?
Sure.
I think whoever did this did a very good job. Especially, the presentation is very interesting. I think a lot of it, though, really comes under the title of art mural. Whereas the ones that are just colored, you can see the red one and the yellow one and the red one and the blue one and things like that, doesn't require an artist. That's the thing about it, and yet it still resonates. And that's the point I've been having about this all along, is that it's taking something that the city could do. I mean, they could maintain it. I mean, one of the things about bright colors outdoors in Florida is it's sort of, they're almost not compatible if anybody's tried to paint a house bright colors.
Yeah, it gets stingy pretty quick.
Yeah, so they do need to get repainted, but that's a good thing in a way, in that they don't fall in disrepair. Like buildings like this tend to do. They get painted once every 10 years maybe, and they get painted that dull white or something. They get beige. Yeah, beige.
Yeah.
They get, the north side goes green, whether you want it to or not, or whatever it is. So, I think it's interesting to see how they're broken up into patterns and things like that. That's pretty time consuming to do that, because what will make this work, if you just slap the paint on, it's gonna look horrible. But if you paint it well, it'll look really great, and use quality paint. And you give it maybe one or two coats so that it has a sense of body to it. The ones with the design, that is very difficult. I mean, that requires a lot of tape, and these structures have texture, and they're in the tape in the world. That frog tape doesn't do it either. It will seep underneath it, and then you'll have more of a mess, because you won't be able to do that. The technique you do for making a hard edge between two different colors is you put the tape down, you take a clear acrylic, and you seal it from the edge. All of that would be sealed. And then when you take it off, you have a little hard edge there. That's the way you can do it. Now, that's very time consuming, right? But just going from corner to corner, it, I think it's something that the city painters could do, and I'm hoping they take enough care of their craft to do it well, instead of just throwing it on there, which I doubt they would do anyway. But, I think these visualize thoughts, about how they work, just solid color. Now, you could hire an artist to do something on that, once it's done that way.
Right, but the whole purpose of this was to use students.
Well, then you're gonna have a lot of supervision, 'cause, that part I missed. I didn't know you were gonna use students on this.
Well, the other thing is, it's not really, we're not looking to give Public Works additional work over and above what they already have to do.
But
So
don't-
that's not what the Public Art Committee is really supposed
But
to
don't they
do.
want to paint those buildings?
Sure they do.
Yeah, okay.
But-
It's a suggestion.
Okay.
It's not a project so much
Yeah.
as I think a suggestion. Anyway,
Yeah, well, this was meant to be an extension of what we did at Sisler Field, using, a young artist, to come up with a concept and, either paint it or have other, students or young artists paint it.
I would strongly urge against that if we're gonna do patterns of gold color. It seems easy, but it's not.
So the sharp patterns were basically, it was just easier for me to throw them
Yeah,
up there instead
yeah,
of drawing a
sure.
mural. Obviously, you probably want to do more rounded
Have
lines.
you
or-
thought about doing any of these?
No. Me personally, I could do it, but I'm not going to do it. But yes, I do see it. When you have a texture on a wall, it is very difficult to get those crisp lines. But you could do a circular mural or something like that. But geometry to actually bring in the primary color as well. Because when you see them to where they hit together, they almost, it's close to clashing.
It's like music,
Right.
yeah.
But
Dissonant sound.
Dissonant
Right.
sound.
Right.
But in this, I'm able to make that line precise.
Yeah, the corner will do it for you.
Right. And when we see this in reality, it probably isn't going to look that crisp unless we get a professional painter.
Well, it'll look crisp as the structure. I mean, just look at the corner of that column right there.
Right.
That's what you're gonna see. Now, the building's liable to have cracks in it and holes in it and all sorts of stuff too.
Correct.
It was a way of dealing with something that doesn't require budgeting out of our budget and dealing with the Sisler Field and the other things, to where there was a commonality in a lot of the athletic fields, and whether a city would want to get behind that or not. I've seen cities where they have gotten behind these kinds of projects, but
You all can propose it if you want to. It's up to you.
Lucianne?
I haven't heard everything that's passed between you two masked marvels.
Sorry.
But, where does Mr. Tom Function fall on this?
Well, no, I was just saying that it just seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Public Art Committee is tasked to, create public art. If we're talking about painting walls, that's something that is, we could make that suggestion that, wouldn't it be neat if, the next time that you paint some of these buildings, you do one of these colors, and then that it would identify it, and then they could take that in consideration. And I don't know, Mark LaCourse would have to probably sign off on it, or I don't know if it would go to the Board of Commissioners. I don't know.
Has he been involved in this at all?
No, because you all need to vote on what direction you want to go in. So, I'm just, it's like, but in my opinion, knowing our departments and, how shorthanded everybody is, and, it's like, I'm not sure that they need another, task, because, what they do is, Tom Function told me that they have it in a rotation with the buildings when they paint them. They have, it's like, okay, we did this one this year, and so every year, they, have an agenda of when they're gonna paint different buildings within the city, and as you know, the city owns a lot of buildings. So for those maintenance type things, they'll just go in and, get it done, so, I don't know, it's like, you can request it,
it's
I'm not sure if it's gonna,
Conceivable that when one of these buildings came up, it could be painted in
it's-
primary colors.
I would think so, if that's, what you're recommending, and then it would have to get approved. But just to go out and say, okay, we want you to go ahead and do all these buildings at all the fields, like by March or something like that, I
I
don't,
think we all
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
there's a reality of time and budget, yeah.
Question. Was the building in Sisler Park, was that prepped by the city before the artist?
no, the artist preference.
The artist prepped it, okay.
Bill?
Yeah, just, when I look at these, I understand the primary colors, and I think it's a really kind of neat idea. When I think of our audience with the kids at the sports complex, I really like 1, 2, 3, because you can identify whatever activities taking place there, but we still have that uniformity of a pattern that we're doing across all the sports complexes, and I think you can get those primary colors intermingled with that. So I really like the top 3 as far as the fact that we're at sports complexes and we're dealing with young people, and I think we can get, a basketball, soccer ball, football, those things intertwined, and so there's a relationship between what's going on at that particular field and also keeping it uniform and having some sort of an artistic appearance. Just a thought.
Right, I'm in Bill's camp, but Trish?
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Okay, the
It's-
1, 2,
it's- it
3.
looks yeah. It's a little more simple and, yeah.
David?
Well, these are just to kind of show, not painting the entire wall, but putting some type of
Design.
art on it, and
Right.
then keeping the buildings as we know them,
Mm-hmm.
and then bringing to attention the sports that are being played. So it's not exactly, this is what I'm envisioning.
Right, the concept is there,
Right.
yeah,
Just the idea that.
Simple,
yeah.
yeah.
right.
Now, personally, having the 2 colors hit, I mean, I like primary colors, love primary colors. I think it's too much color because it creates almost like, not necessarily, I hate to use the word eyesore, but you're drawn to that instead of the sports. And
And you're talking about the, doing the walls in the primary color.
correct, like
Yeah, I like
fully,
the other- yeah.
like fully.
Yeah,
But then when you put the geometry in it, it kind of breaks it up just a little bit, and then you can bring it to wrap around to
Right.
the other side. And that was how I found to where it wasn't too eye-catching,
Right.
in a sense.
Well, I was talking to Mark, and in addition to what Diane said about the, asking city departments to, help with the buildings, the sports leagues also have to approve this. So, because, that's where their teams play. So I think 1, 2, and 3 would probably be more palatable, to them, using, like a stencil or some representation of balls, helmets, some element of the sport that's played on the team. So, anyway, Debbie?
But again, not easy with your straight lines.
Right.
And that has a lot to do with straight lines. Personally, I really don't, I know that we're dealing with kids and sports, but I would actually like to see the building in some sort of like a floral concept or painted some sort of green with palm fronds on it or something, other than everything in primary colors. And I do agree with you that they conflict. And it doesn't, it's not a good look for me, the way that colors conflict. 1, 2, and 3, I think I appreciate more, but again, you're talking about straight line edging and not
Right.
an easy job.
It could be any pattern.
Right,
Whatever's
right. But
easiest
it's still
to-
not, it's still not an easy, it's not a paint sprayer, and it's hard. It's harder, a lot of taping, a lot of
Right.
edging. But I wouldn't mind seeing them in a natural pattern, looking.
More of a free-form mural.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of the original idea. At least that's what I thought it was, to have, students, do something. And I don't know, I guess either it wasn't communicated or it got lost or,
Well, I just go back one thing, though. If you want students to do this, they don't want to do the other.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem, they don't want
Right.
to do that either. So,
Yeah.
so you're
Right.
gonna get, what kind of commitment you're gonna get for doing that,
Right.
yeah.
The lady who did the Sisler Field was not a student, was she?
No.
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 We've gotten so much positive feedback from the Sisler
Yeah.
Field, that was done well.
It was, yeah.
And it's gotten a lot of positive response from the community.
I think
Everything
she
I've heard.
actually is a student. She might be a college student.
Right, I think she's a college
Yeah.
student.
But that was a mural project.
Right,
That came out of our budget as a mural project.
right,
The solid colors are not a mural project, they're
Right.
just painting the building. But anything else should be a mural project.
Yes.
exactly.
Right? So there's the thing, I mean, I could see, you want to put a jungle on it, so it disappears, that's fine, but that's a commission.
I agree.
And it's probably more than $1,000 to do that.
Yeah, we have the budget we have to work with, under $1,000.
Yes, we have the budget we
yeah.
have to work with for
Right.
it, so anyway, I'm not married to this thing, I just.
Okay, how do people feel about deferring it?
About what?
Deferring,
Yeah.
Bill? Can I get a motion to defer? Lucianne, second? Anybody?
A second.
I had one more question.
Sure.
Is there any way to do like a vinyl to where it could?
Oh, yeah, you could, but that's gonna cost more.
To do it what?
Vinyl, the
wrap.
applique like they
The
do with
vinyl, yeah,
crystals.
and
It is expensive.
vinyl, who knows
Weather-
what the book is on vinyl?
Right.
How durable it can be on a building that's not prepared properly. I mean, over here, the one that Chris Still did, they really worked on that
Right.
wall.
Well, I did a lot of research with the company,
I think I've said that.
Speed Pro, that did the crystal applique. And, I was hoping that we could use them for the Artist Alley concept, which, got deep six because of the insurance issues. But the company does everything. They prep the building, they photograph the images, they create the mural, and it's applied. I know the Crystal mural, I think, was, what, Diane, 2 days? It took 3 days tops,
Yeah.
something like that. So it's a fast thing, but,
The-
it's not
the
cheap.
The wall prep took a little longer than that, though.
I think it took
I
a
drove
day.
by it a lot when they were doing it, and I knew they were gonna do something, but they were
Right.
really being careful.
Right, so,
So are we talking like 5,000 to do that whole building in vinyl?
I don't know. I don't know what the pricing is. How much did Christopher Still
I,
start?
I think the Crystal was maybe about 5 or 6 a couple of years ago. Does that resonate with you, Diane?
I
Does
don't
that
know,
sound
because
about-
I wasn't involved in that.
Right, because that was a Chamber of Commerce project.
I think
That
that
was-
was more like 11 to 15.
Oh, really? Okay. Because I know that Chris donated the image.
Right, I mean,
So-
just the installation.
Right, okay,
Wow,
That's heavy.
It's big, though.
that is.
yeah,
It's huge.
right.
But the more recent example we have is the artist who submitted all of the fish motifs.
Right.
His proposal for the golf course.
Right.
Do you remember? It was.
Yeah, it was
5
like
or 6.
1,200, was it? Can't remember.
It was a good bit of money for that one.
Have we,
Was
Have
that
we heard from
back
him?
in July?
No,
that might be why. He finally did some checking
right.
on how much it was gonna cost. I mean, I don't know, but
So David, this seems to have become your baby. Do you want to kind of keep,
I mean, I can plug at it and put some other ideas out there, but, I mean, we're talking about 6 buildings, correct? And if that's a mural project, that's gonna be about 5 to 10,000 a building, are we thinking? So are we willing to go 30 to 60,000 on 6 buildings? Or is that something we wanna wait on?
yeah?
Well, yeah, and I think you're right about this, and everybody, I think, is thinking along this line, is that, so we are the Public Art Committee, but one thing we're also is that we have to be responsible for the way the city looks. Right, and what we find is really appropriate for the city. And, you know, like the proposal we just saw, if he wanted to give it to us or loan it to us or something like that, that would be okay. They're very popular. I lived in St. Pete. I know those things very well. Everybody always sits on them and gets their picture taken. I totally understand the city of St. Pete because they want to have a control over their cultural look, right? And you've got to go through all that kind of line. St. Pete's a different city. They have, 7, 8 major museums down there. It's a cultural tourist attraction for
Right.
high-end art and stuff.
Right,
And
yeah,
so-
and the population is a lot
Yeah,
larger, too.
and so you know, city of New York has that same problem with people deciding they want to just drop something on a corner. And the most famous is the bull. And then the little girl.
Right,
Right, so those are issues that come up, and, you know, they have a very strong commission in New York. I've been before them, and they're all superstars. I mean, they're television superstars as well.
Yeah.
But they have to keep control of that, and that's what we are here is, how do we want to present the arts in Tarpon Springs? Right? And I could see that. It's whimsical. Everybody would love it. I could see everybody taking a photograph with it and stuff like that. For that amount of money, I think it's a good deal. I know how much it costs to make one of
Right.
those things. And it does stand up pretty well. He uses probably very good lacquers and finishes and stuff. And so I just think we're kind of stewards of the look of Tarpon Springs. And we need to sort of make sure that we are cognizant of the fact that a lot of people are going to propose a lot of things to us.
right,
And some of them will seem like good deals, but is it a good deal in the long run for the accumulation? Think of the
Right.
collection of Tarpon Springs. And
right,
I mean, we are public art, but we're the only body here that has to deal with any of kind of the aesthetics of Tarpon Springs in that way. I mean, there's, you know, building and codes and all that kind of stuff that comes in. But we do have some responsibility for not accepting everything that comes our way
Right,
just
no,
because it's a
understood.
good deal.
right. Diane, you had a comment?
Sure. But along those lines too, is that Tarpon Springs has now got quite a few neat, really beautiful bronzes with Alma the Mermaid and then the Naiads and Storybook Time. So the Pelican would fit in really nice with that, you know, that type of media. But Marissa looked it up, and for that fish on the wall, it was like $3,000.
That was the total application process for his 4 murals. It was $11 per square foot for the
Okay.
application.
Thanks, Marissa. Okay. All right, so I think we'll defer this. Okay, I don't want to put it to bed completely, but.
I would agree.
Yeah, okay. Moving on, we have the Sisler Field softball mural. I think she in your packet is the revised concept.
And please read the note underneath it, because I questioned her on this. I said, you know, I still think the middle image is a little out of proportion compared to the other two, and she said, when I paint it, and the hash marks were a little sloppy, so I said, you know, she goes, when I paint it, it will all be measured out, and it'll be, every image will be proportional, and the hash marks will be, you know, uniform. And so she was just doing this for illustration purposes.
Okay. Lucianne?
No comment.
Okay, Bill?
Have we run it past the teams that play there that are involved?
They did like it.
Okay.
Okay, Trish?
I'd say as long as she submits a final that we can approve.
This is considered her final because she is gonna be painting it, so.
Okay.
This is like the image of what she's gonna paint. So, I mean, that's kind of what she painted it from the last time she gave that baseball image.
Right,
She-
she's probably
it's like a
better painting,
mock-up.
right, it's probably, she's
Right.
probably better at painting the mural than doing these things,
Right, yeah.
so. Robert?
I'm gonna bite my tongue. I can't bite my tongue. I don't like it. I mean, it's not changed at all since the last time we saw it, in
That
my
won't be on
opinion.
there.
I think she moved the catcher to the center, or the shortstop to the center. Here's what I don't like about it. The silhouettes being black look like strip club figures. And just drive up and down Route 19 and you see them. You also see them on the back of pickup trucks where a figure is pole dancing a hook. Think of those images. Now, you know, that's, visual art says a lot. And it says a lot, not on the one level, but on another level, and another level, and another level. And these are, all happen to be young women. So I would be, you know, what would make them not look like strip club silhouettes is if they weren't black. If they weren't solid black silhouettes. That's the standard thing, is that silhouette. Now, if she just chose to use them different colors, each one being a different color on that background or something, I'd be much happier with that. But I'm not a voting member, I'm just an opinionated, but I have.
No, we always pay attention.
Yeah, I just know that art's on so many different levels, and a lot of people are gonna look at it and say, oh, that's great. But then, she could do so much more with those figures.
Okay, Debbie?
So I like the color. The color really appeals to me. And the figures in black, I see them as silhouettes. I don't see them as anything derogatory or bothersome. I like the way she's placed the batter in the home plate. I like the way she has the catcher. The only thing is that her foot is on backwards or her head is on backwards. And that's, I picked that up. That bothers me. And the girl throwing the ball, I'm fine with that. You can tell it's a girl. She's got a ponytail. In fact, the catcher, if there wasn't any hair at all on that would be fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she obviously has longer hair, I guess, coming down. Ponytail on two ends. If that one didn't have any, and if she was, I can't decide if she's facing butt out or butt in.
Well, that's the whole idea of the silhouette. It
Because, well, her
goes back
foot's
and
on,
forth, right.
no, well, her foot's on backwards then. And that kind of bothers me.
Well, I
a
think
little
she's
bit.
a shortstop, personally.
She's a shortstop, but her head's turned the wrong way.
Yeah, she's facing us.
She is facing us, but her head's turned the wrong way.
I mean, I think it would look good without the silhouettes entirely. I mean, there's only
It would look
baseballs
fine like that. It
on the
would.
other side.
Well, it matches that, yeah,
Right.
that would be the thing. If it didn't have the figures at all, I'd have no problem with it. I think it's fine without the figures.
I just like to take the catcher out. The other two don't bother me.
Actually, with all the windows in that facade, it might be best to simplify it entirely. Because
What if
there are
they
a lot
just
of
did the
little
batter?
windows.
Put the batter in the center.
Or just leave it where it is? Yeah, or whatever you want. But I like the way she's straddling the
I-
leaves.
One other problem I have with this is these figures are just lifted right off the internet. You know, so they're just
Clip
cut and
art.
paste right on there. And she's gonna paint it.
Well, she's a
gotta draw.
college student, and she was asked for a rendering, so, you know, I think that's the best that she could do for us, to give us, you know, a depiction of what she's visualizing. I mean, she did a good job on the other one, so, and you'll like that enough to invite her back to do a second one, you know, so.
All right,
She
and this has
listened
been
to
in the
what you-
hopper for a
yeah,
while.
She
Yeah.
listened to what you asked her to do, and she brought it back, so.
I think if she positions the middle one better in relation to the others, I think they'd be fine. I think they look good.
Yeah, I agree with Trish, either make her smaller somehow, or even eliminate her.
Well, that's what she
Well,
said she was gonna do, is proportionalize
Yeah.
the sizes
Yeah.
of them,
If
but
she does that, then
if you
she'll be
want to
fine.
take some of the figures out, I can just tell her that, approved with these changes, if you want.
Yeah, because,
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with the three figures.
mhm.
I think they balance, you know. they're more
Is there
proportional.
men that play softball there?
I don't think
All
so.
women.
No.
No?
No.
They're
Men
all
don't play,
children.
boys don't
They're
play?
all children.
Sure they do.
We
Sure they
Men do play softball.
just have
I
the baseballs
Yeah.
on the far wall. You know, maybe we just want the softballs and not figures at all. I'm kind of,
Up to you.
Well, I would be perfectly happy to not see the figures there, because I think it does fit more in with what her first mural was.
I think it
Yes, it makes a set.
mirrors the other
The,
side.
the figures
Okay.
change the whole approach. That's what we see of the figures. That's the way you read an image, and you see the figures first, because we identify with them.
Okay, Bill, could I have a motion on this to, you know, maybe, perhaps accept it without the figures?
Yeah, run it past the team, I guess, and make sure they're okay with it, with no figures, and, you know, that there's just a little bit of discrepancy here with the committee on the actual figures itself, and
Okay. Do I have a second on that motion?
Yes.
To do it without the figures?
Lucian?
Is the
No
vote to do it
figures.
without the
Yes.
figures? No.
Okay. Roll call? Marissa, do you want to do a roll call on this?
Yes. Ms. Jennings?
Yes?
Ms. Gregory?
No.
Mr. Meals?
yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Sallow?
Yes.
Mr. Stackhouse?
Yes?
Ms. Hennessy?
Yes.
Okay. So Diane, could you take this back to her and,
Okay.
and I think if she removes the figure, I think, just tell her to go ahead with it. Does anybody have any objections? Okay, the illuminated art boxes. Alan, the printer, is coordinating with Tom Function to remove the panels, remove the current decals, replace with new art decals, and replace the panels. Hopefully, they'll be starting on this soon. Diane, have you heard anything?
It's done.
The new,
Yeah, I was there Monday night, and they looked like they were new panels.
Yeah, I thought I saw new ones.
Yeah,
Oh.
I didn't recognize any of them, so.
I don't know,
I was
that's a
there
surprise
yesterday
to me.
morning, and it was still the old ones
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah,
I was there Monday night, and I didn't recognize any of the ones that I saw. I didn't go up and down the street to look
Right.
at all of them, but,
I don't
I
think
thought
they,
they were new too.
yeah, I thought they were all, the ones that I saw, I thought were new, because I didn't recognize them, and I'd seen the others several times.
well, Tom Function said right before I came over here that Joe Wraith is on vacation, he's out of town till Monday, but she said that he believes that he has it scheduled to remove them and get them, so, to Alan, so, he was gonna let me know, you know, when Joe got back, you know, of the exact date that they were gonna take them
Okay.
out.
Okay,
Well, there's two of us, so.
right.
Well, wouldn't that be
How about
funny
they're
if Joe
having-
said, hey, they've already been done?
I'm not gonna blame it on age.
Okay. Okay, current, well, anyway, it's in the hopper to be done soon, so.
Dovetailing with that then.
Yes.
We had the extra illuminated art boxes that I was supposed to take a look at the sports complexes on, from the last meeting. I did go around to all the different sports complexes, and really, it's rather kind of cluttered. I spoke to David a little bit about it, and there's so much going on at all the athletic fields. And to find a location where there is a proper pole to apply it to, that would be anywhere in an area where spectators or players would get the benefit of the art box, I think it doesn't exist, or at least I was not able to find it. In walking through Craig Park has a lot of opportunities, but it's all the smaller light stands
Right.
that would not hold or support the art boxes, which would mean you'd have to put additional poles in, and I think we should avoid that
Right.
at almost any cost. I did take a look at Sunset Beach, and those are the two pictures that I took. It's hard to get a sense. There are 6 standing concrete poles out there. So substantial, probably an opportunity if we think that Sunset Beach would be an appropriate location for something like that. The downside, David pointed out, is the beach closes at dusk. Okay, so, you know, the only thing you're gonna get is during the day with it. So, but that's about the only location I've been able to really find that we have.
The other question I have, Bill, is whether these are county poles and not city poles. I don't know. I'd have to
I don't
find
know.
out
I don't,
if we can put them on
Yeah.
those poles, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and I will do that.
You wouldn't have any trouble with solar.
no, no trouble with solar.
I just wonder about wind, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is exposed out there, and there are some opportunities along the small causeway there too.
Yeah, that's true.
To be able to place them, so, yeah, I think we have, what, 4 of them? 4 or 5, I believe, that are left.
Five.
or
Yeah,
5.
there are 5 left.
Okay, so that's, in exploring the sports complexes, that's kind of my
Find out.
recommendation, or what I've witnessed, and then, you know, just tossing out Sunset Beach as a potential.
Okay.
Question.
Sure,
How
Debbie.
many do we have down in the downtown area?
15.
Sponge docks.
Yeah, 15.
And how
Not-
many
not
in the downtown?
Well, no,
That's it.
there's 15 on the sponge docks.
That's all we have.
That's all we have.
So wouldn't the downtown area be beneficial? I mean, we could even put some of those reminiscent photos of, you know, the old downtown area, how it looked. I mean,
Right.
Is that something that's been,
Bill explored that
Well,
pretty
we explored,
extensively.
we explored Safford. You know, and there was a hesitancy because of the traffic, car traffic, the amount of car traffic on Tarpon Avenue.
And truck traffic.
Yeah, of actually putting something else up there. Because we had looked at the Safford and,
Lemon
you know, we had looked at Lemon Street, and we were unable to come up with the poles that would hold them. We were very fortunate with the light stands that are down at the sponge docks, that they support the weight of the art
and they're
boxes.
higher.
Robert?
Is it possible just to add more at the sponge docks?
Yes.
I mean, go up Athens Avenue a little bit, you know, like that's
Oh, yeah, we
that's
have
becoming
more
a much
that we-
more interesting part of town. I think
Right.
I would, I mean, that's my favorite part of the docks, actually going up there to National Bakery. But, I think if we went up that with 4 of them, I think that would be nice.
Okay.
And if it works, I mean, if they have the poles, they would do it.
All right.
I'll look at it.
Okay, thanks,
take a
Bill.
look, yep.
Okay. So, Bill, you're going to look at the
Yep.
poles on
Street.
Athens.
Yeah, it would be nice to do something downtown, Debbie,
Yeah.
that it's, you know, that we looked, and it's just really tough. It's very crowded too with what's currently there.
And the issue was the poles are like breakaway poles. If somebody hits them,
Yeah.
you know, they would go down, there goes the
They're gonna
art
put-
boxes.
Right.
They're gonna put Christmas decorations up this weekend
true.
anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
that,
That's true.
Yeah, it's only Halloween, they're late.
only Halloween?
Okay, that's a good idea, Robert. We'll look into doing some more on the sponge docks. Okay,
Well, they work down there. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
right. Okay, current updates, Christopher still, I guess, we're still waiting to hear from Advent Health. I don't believe there's gonna be a formal ribbon cutting or
I haven't heard
not
of
with
any,
COVID,
yeah.
so, but I believe that's finished. The Black Heritage Project update. To date, we haven't had any submissions, and I'd like to, it's pretty standard operating procedure, but I'd just like to get a motion in a second to postpone the deadline if we have no viable entries. Okay, can I get a motion to that effect?
Yes, I make a motion.
Okay, motion, Trish, you want a second?
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye, all opposed? No, okay, I think it just makes perfect sense. Okay. The Naiads repair. St. Kate's Fine Arts removed the second standing Naiad yesterday and took her back to the workshop, kicking and screaming. They will reinforce the supports, fill the legs with weighted metal, and reinstall. The cost, thank you, Lord, was covered by insurance, which was already received by the city. Miss Efficiency over there, Diane Wood, already paid St. Kate's half of what their invoice was. So not only are all our bills paid, we actually have money in the hopper for the second round. So thank you, Diane. Okay, the remaining half will be due on delivery and reinstallation of the two sculptures. Desmond of St. Kate's did say that they're probably due for a routine, look at the patinization, so.
What was the total cost of the repairs?
17,
15.
15.6, something like that.
15,000?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And insurance covered it?
17,000?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, insurance covered it all. So,
My understanding, they're 2 years old?
they've been up for
Or
2
3.
years, I think.
Not quite 3, I don't think.
Yeah, no, 2, I think, yeah, 2.
Yeah,
a little
I
more.
think we've had them for 3 years, but they were in storage for a long time
Yeah.
before they were installed. Because I know that they were purchased before I came on the committee, so they've been around for a bit. Okay, new business, discussion of purchase of two works by artist Louis Marcoya. Louis Marcoya was a protege of Salvador Dali, having worked with Dali in New York for 6 years. His work is currently on exhibit at the Lipa Ratner and will be until February 2022. His lenticular 3D style is distinctive and will enhance a public space. City Manager LaCouris has approved installation on a city building. Should we approve the purchase? He has offered us two works for $37.50, and they're in your backup.
They're interesting.
So I have to admit, I have not been over to Lipa Ratner. Are these two that are already on display?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah,
you've,
and-
you've seen them?
Yes,
Joan, what do you think?
I think they're spectacular. I mean, they're very eye-catching.
Very interesting, yeah, yeah. So we would not be getting them until the 2022, correct?
Oh, no, he can,
I thought you said they were on display in.
oh, no, I'm sorry. They were on his website. But he could make,
He does them in editions of 250.
right, they're limited editions.
Oh, okay.
But that's a very good price for a limited edition piece. The $37.50 for both of them.
And they would be displayed here in City Hall?
That's for us to figure out.
But would that qualify as original art?
Yep.
Or so?
Well, it's just like the Naiads. It's a limited edition. Plus, given the price, it's, we actually have the discretion to just go ahead and approve the purchase.
Yeah, okay.
If we, and the thing is that, there are other works on his website. So if you want to go back and look at the website and see if there's, anything, but,
My concern is where they're gonna be displayed. I'm not certainly not questioning his qualifications. But I'm just kind of wondering where they would be shown.
Well, some ideas were kind of like near the box office, downstairs in the hallway, or in the lobby, you know, going into the building. You know, somewhere in the hallway of City Hall. You know, they're not that big, so we could really, you know, they could even go over in the Cultural Heritage Center or the Cultural Center.
They would be put on a table, I guess, right?
No,
They
no,
would have a
they're
stand?
mounted on the wall.
Oh, they're mounted on the, okay, gotcha.
They're backlit, Trish.
Okay. Interesting.
Do they have the lighting already installed?
I believe so. Robert?
Why? It's a show over at the Lip of Ratner. We've had a lot of them. Why are we wanting to buy 2 of these for Tarpon Springs? I mean, what does it have to do with something for us? It's just buying something that is striking our fancy, or what? I mean, I don't see the connection of it. And especially, again, considering the budget issue. We don't have what I would say an extensive collection of art in this town, of art that's you know, museum quality art and things like that. We have the George Ennis Juniors, which is hardly any of us ever see. They're pretty famous, so I think that, you know, I just wonder if we're spending that kind of money on these 2 pieces, which really have nothing to do with us, and it's a protege of Dali, and does it photographically or whatever it is, and does backlighting, and it's a pretty large limited edition of things. I'm just, you know, I think they're interesting works, but I just don't see why we would expend our budget on them. I'd rather see buying a local artist, you know, somebody who maybe commissioning a local artist to do something that, so like, you know, with Elizabeth, and, you know, and there are people here that can do things and make art, make a lot of art, and people in the county that make art and make a lot of art.
Well, he
I
is
don't think-
local, consider St. Pete local.
He considers St. Pete local?
No, if we consider St. Pete local.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I mean, there,
lives in St.
you,
Pete.
you have a lot of things. I mean, you know, I just don't think that they're, in my opinion, unique enough to want to specially start this approach in seeing something we like at an art museum and deciding we want to buy them. I mean, I don't know. I'm not for it. That's all I'm just going to say. I'm not a voting member anyway, so I keep saying that.
Well, if he is local, he does have the tie-in with Dolly. You know, I think they're fascinating pieces. It would certainly be something unique. I know, especially Lucianne, we've been talking for a while about getting some more, you know, modern, impressionistic type art in town. So I think from that point of view, you know, I think they're very eye-catching. I think they would make an impact here. You know, it's unlike anything that's around, and you know, I think it's a good idea. But
Yeah, I like them.
Lucianne,
I like
do you
them
have
too.
a?
Debbie?
Oh, Debbie.
Joan, has any thought been given to making this like traveling? That perhaps it could go to, even if it's in plexiglass, that it can go to schools so that kids could at least see it and appreciate it, or?
No, they're 16 by 20s.
Well, 16 by 20.
Yeah, so I mean, they would be easily movable.
Yeah.
And easily
I mean,
hangable, and, you know.
I just don't know how great the visibility is gonna be here in City Hall. It's not like we have a vast, I know the entry into the main theater is larger, but it's not as if you have like a great reception area. And they are interesting, but I would actually prefer seeing them as traveling art.
Okay, well, we do have all of the permanent exhibit of Chris Still in the Cultural Heritage Center, and that's, that's, not readily visible either. I mean,
I just
Diane,
don't
you-
have, I just don't have a lot of room over at the Heritage Museum because,
Well, it was just a suggestion as a possible place.
their cultural center is a possibility, and then, of course, City Hall. Right now, the Tarpon Springs Art Association or the Guild, I can't remember, I get them
The Art
confused.
Association.
It has paintings in the lobby of the Performing Arts Center that are there displayed on some of the walls. I have some of the photographs from the contest, on the walls, so those could be taken down and then they could be put there. So that's another opportunity because, of course, people come in to the lobby and come into our shows, so they get a lot of visibility there, kind of thing. If we, wanted to start creating that space as a local artist gallery, kind of thing that the public art could, but then I'm gonna have the Tarpon Springs Art Association mad at me when I run out of space, or I have to push them out of space, so
Right.
I can't win, so go ahead.
We've been pushed a lot, yeah.
And the thing that we're trying to do at the Cultural Center too is, we have that beautiful mural by Elizabeth Indianos, but we're also trying to keep the rest of the wall space free so that we can do visiting exhibitions of local artists and, and support the Tarpon Springs Art Association and with their shows and things. This is the first year that they're back in there, with the plein air, and then they're gonna do a Christmas show. So, that's considerations, when you're buying that kind of art, that visual art that would be in a museum, just keep that in mind. So,
Is the Leaper Ratner part of Tarpon Springs? They have a Tarpon Springs zip code, don't they? Do we consider them
they're in
Tarpon
they
Springs?
are Tarpon Springs,
Well, that's
yeah.
a proper place for it to be. I mean, I think the Leaper Ratner is where they should be. Now, if you want to take money out of your budget and buy them and give them to the Leaper Ratner, I'd be glad to
Well,
have
they're already
'em.
there.
Yeah, I know, but they'd be glad to have them. And people would go there for it, but.
Well, I'm still in favor of getting them. I don't know how other people feel.
Yeah, I am too.
Lucianne?
I guess my question revolves around the fact that I know when we each joined this committee, we got the big notebook, and in the back, there was a list of, for better description, inside wall art that is already city property, and I assume. So my question is about programming. How do these works fit in with what is already held? Is there a regular exhibition program? How does this fit in with what else is there? And if space is problematic and we're not programming, then I don't see that as just standalone works. They contribute to our reason for being. Yes, I am very much in favor of more contemporary work, but really in an outside, more monumental way. I think these are arresting. I don't have the context in my head for them.
Okay, Bill?
Yes, I agree with a number of things that have been stated around the room. They are very attractive pieces of art. I would tend to put our limited dollars into something other than that. I mean, it's 10% of the cost of getting the bronze that we had talked about and looked at earlier. And I think if we disperse the funds too widely, we're not gonna end up being able to get to where we wanna get to,
Okay.
okay?
Trish?
I would like to see us purchase them. I like them. And I don't know, we keep talking about budget, but has anybody ever looked at I mean, have we looked at the total amount that we have and what we have coming out so that we actually know an amount that we have to spend?
Marissa, could you ballpark something? You poor thing, I'm always putting you on the spot.
No, she has it.
Second here.
David, while she's looking at that, what do you,
So I don't feel like I have enough
List of
information to make an educated decision, because I've never really seen them.
okay.
And it says 3D, but are they like, do you walk past them, are they 3D?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Not
should
quite
take
sure
a
of it.
trip to the LIPA.
I should,
Yeah.
I'm sure I would love to see them. I mean, this isn't something personally that I would hang in my house.
Right,
I mean,
That would
the
be
one
in
with
my
the
house,
face is
but-
kind of cool, you know, it's
Both have
very
a
interesting.
face, yeah.
Well, the
Both have
right,
a face.
the half a face on the right
yeah,
one. The one on the left, I don't know if I could look at that at night by myself. I might sit there. But
okay,
I think if more people could enjoy it, it could be a consideration, but if it's just gonna be in an area with not much foot traffic, I would agree with Mr. Mills that perhaps we could use the funds for something
okay.
that could be enjoyed.
All right, so can I entertain a motion to purchase them?
I make a motion to purchase them.
Do I have a second? We have to do this to discuss it and vote.
Sure, I'll second.
Okay. All right, Marissa, could you call the roll? This is to approve the purchase.
Ms. Jennings,
Yes?
Ms. Gregory,
Yes.
Mr. Meals,
No,
Ms. Robinson,
No.
Mr. Sallow.
Can I plead the fifth? For an in
You
between?
can abstain.
Abstain.
it's a tough one.
Mr. Stackhouse,
No,
Ms. Hennessy.
No.
Okay, I think the motion fails.
can I just bring one thing up about the budget on this, that was brought up just real quickly? $3,750 and $17,000 for the other project. Why are we not getting any applications for the Heritage project?
Well, the deadline's the 31st, I'm
No,
hoping.
That's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
mean, it's out there. We did get one. But, I mean, I've worked in a research laboratory and I can't figure it out. Maybe
Well-
Debbie should have a crack at
Well,
it.
the thing I'm leading to in it is that there's not enough money. The budget isn't big enough to attract people to do that project. It's a twofold project, it's complicated, it's not something somebody's just gonna go to their shelf and pull it off and say, here's what I can do, or change the logo on a hat to
Right.
make it fit, so I think that Heritage project is underfunded.
Okay, well, why don't we already had a motion and a vote to defer it to the deadline, so I think we should wait for the deadline, see what comes in, and if there's nothing viable, it'll go to the selection panel. If there's nothing viable, when the deadline is extended, if it has to be, then we'll reconsider the funding. Does that make sense to everybody? I think that's the natural progression.
Do you want the budget numbers?
Okay.
Has the Department of Agriculture funding gone anywhere?
I called my friend, and unfortunately, I called him on September 30th, and it was the end of their fiscal year. And he basically hung up on me because he had all kinds of crazy deadlines, but I am going to get back to him.
So it is the beginning of our fiscal year. Right now, what you have approved to spend in the total public art fund is $147,000. And what you have left in the public art fund balance is $237,000.
Okay.
So 237,000 is your whole. That is everything in the public art fund. What the BOC has approved for spending during this fiscal year, which is October 1st, which just happened, to September 30th, is 147,000. If you want to pursue projects that are outside of that limit, it just needs to go before the BOC for further approval to use those funds.
Okay.
I will also tell you that in addition to this, I did check with the building department because that's where the developer money comes in, you know, and to see if there were any projects in the hopper that could potentially be, you know, money for the Public Art Committee, and there is none right now.
What about the car wash?
It has to, they have to submit and they've got.
So it's
they
not
said-
there yet?
Yeah, it's not there yet, yeah. So they let me know and I check with them usually on a monthly basis to see if there's something coming down, you know, before our meetings.
Maybe they could do a water feature. Okay. All right, next item of new business, the proposal from David and John Hayes for a rental of some artwork. And, let's see. Let's see, what was, I think the dollar amount was something on the order of. 26,000, yeah.
It's on the back of that front.
And that's
Oh,
for-
right, yeah.
And that's for 1 year?
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying-
Yeah, 2,000 per sculpture per year, plus round-trip trucking. And with the way things are going today, round-trip trucking could
yeah, skyrocket.
skyrocket. So, Lucianne, we'll start with you. Usually,
I like the idea. I think all of the locations they have proposed are over-committed, as they say at the Ritz.
right,
I think there are areas in town where these could be grouped.
Can't find mine.
But again,
It's the big pack.
Oh, that is.
Yeah,
okay.
that's it.
That's it, right here, right here. Okay.
to me, is this a priority for us? You know, given the discussion we've gone into, I would much rather commit more than our budget this year to the Black Heritage Program. I think that's a landmark kind of, what is the word everybody uses now, a legacy
right,
project.
right.
And if money were no object, I'd go for this, but in sort of a sculpture park kind of configuration.
Right.
That's where
Bill?
Yeah, that's, falls in line with my thinking as well. The other piece of it is, you know, with the 1 year, it kind of like shows up and then all of a sudden it just disappears. And, that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of gone. So it's a lot of money for showing up and
Right.
renting some art.
Trish?
Yeah, I would rather see us use our money on something else. There are other projects that I like a lot better than
Right.
this,
David?
personally.
I'm not a big renter guy. You know? Like Mr. Meals says, maybe everybody starts to like it and then it disappears.
Just gone.
Do we get the 22,000 back? We
Right.
don't. And so that disappears as well. And I personally don't think it would be a good move. I don't know if it necessarily fits with Tarpon as well.
No, I don't either.
No. Robert?
Well, I think there's some practical issues here with some of, some of these are tripods, sort of like Alexander Calder and stuff like that. And some of them though are on pedestals and they have to be fixed to the ground. For a year, I mean, when sculptures like these go to shows around the country, I know artists that do this, and they're up for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. The city that does it has to lay down foundations. And those foundations have to be in a place, and then they have to be bolted onto those foundations. If not, you have a serious attractive nuisance liability issue. Somebody climbing on it and it's not properly affixed and it falls over and cuts it in half, then you're in lots of trouble. So borrowing these for a year is gonna cost the city money to put them somewhere. So that, I don't know whether that's in the cost, whether they'll pour a foundation or not. So there's that issue right there. I mean, if it was for 5 years, you might want to look at it, you know, and this kind of art relates to anything.
Right.
I think you can say that
Right.
way
Right.
too.
Debbie?
I mean, you can say, oh, those, you know, you can say these are porpoises jumping and
I see that. I agree with Robert, but I also do have to say that I really do appreciate the modern art. And I would like to see us acquire some modern art for our city.
Right. Okay, can I,
Be in primary colors, but I would like to see some modern.
primary and modern go hand in hand.
I know, I hear you.
okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to rent the David Hayes sculptures.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second?
Seconded.
Okay. Marissa, could you call the roll?
Ms. Jennings,
No.
Ms. Gregory,
No,
Mr. Meals,
No.
Ms. Robinson,
No,
Mr. Sallow,
That would be a no.
Mr. Stackhouse,
No,
Ms. Hennessy.
No.
Motion fails. Okay. I think we've gone through everything on the agenda. I just wanted to bring up another comment. There was agenda item at the CRA portion of the Board of Commissioners meeting on the 28th of September about the purchase and placement of production art by the city. And there was a draft resolution that was on the agenda last night. And whatever is purchased will be under the placement and is going to be under the aegis of ours truly, the Public Art Committee. So I have a few choice locations for them, but that shall remain unsaid. Does anybody have any comments or questions about?
yeah.
Okay. Diane, the city announcements?
No, I just, I think we covered everything today of everything that I have.
Right, okay.
One
Bill?
more.
Sure.
We had talked about a water feature
Yes.
in Spring Bayou. And so I reached out to Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission and found the right person who is responsible for the manatee. And had a really nice conversation with her. And there are some limitations that we would have to be mindful of. She would get the final, we would need her okay for the final permit with DEP if it went that far. And she would be more than happy to work with us during the process to make sure that anything that we come up with, that there's no way for entanglement or that it's not disruptive to the manatee. But she was rather interested in the project, so, okay.
David had on the back of his handout, there are two things about the water feature, and I know that Lucianne is currently doing research on the water features too. So just call your attention back to David's handout, the last pages of it. And also, on the back is the basketball court, which I thought was a cool concept too.
Right, right,
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that would be neat.
That would be
to
neat,
paint
yeah.
the basketball courts.
yeah.
but here is the handout on the water feature.
What's interesting is you already encapsulated a lot of these things, because one of the things that she was hesitant about was any kind of a water feature that really, not like the Bellagio fountains,
Right.
that would be disruptive to manatees. So in other words, if it was contained somehow, which is kind of interesting that you came up with some of these concepts, that kind of contains whatever water feature that we're doing so that it's it's not that disruptive to them.
It's more of a natural flow.
Right, right.
Correct.
And Victor Schauberger is pretty interesting. He was always viewing nature, such as we all should, but he made these fountains to where they would filter the water just through how they circulated, which is pretty interesting. Because, I was even eating a burger today, and when I was squeezing mayonnaise out, it doesn't just go straight, it folds. Like
Right.
everything moves in its sacred geometric, fashion. So I believe in a lot of these things. You can see by the picture that I put of the river how it winds. So maybe creating something that is more naturally forming would easily get past, or easier
Right.
to get past as well.
But as we move along, we should include her, and I've got all her contact information.
Fantastic.
She's very,
Yeah. I think this is a great project. We have the A-team working on it. Bill, Lucianne, and David.
Got a name on there.
So, okay. Anything else from anybody? Oh, Robert, do you want to just mention your great excursion, your
Well,
adventure?
It's kind of hard to say if it's gonna happen or not.
Okay,
I mean, that's my hesitancy in that, and I wanted to inform Diane mostly that I wasn't gonna be here the next couple of months, so that's the possibility.
okay.
The thing is, Carol and I have been invited to be artists on board the Schmidt Ocean Institute out of California research vessel, the Falkor, and it's a 290-foot research vessel. It's actually out in the middle of that hurricane out in the Pacific right at the moment. It's probably far enough away from it, but it was operating in those waters. We are scheduled to early November fly to Baja, California, Baja, Mexico. I mean, not Baja. What is the town? La Paz.
Okay.
La Paz. It's way down at the tip where the hurricane happens to be right at the moment, or it has been. The vessel is out there doing research on, I believe it's looking at deep sea vents and how to image them properly, because it's down at the bottom of the ocean in the deepest parts of the ocean. And so that's the kind of thing. The Schmidt Ocean Institute is the Schmidts, a husband and wife couple, are Google. Or they're Google money. They left Google, and they have this philanthropic institute called the Schmidt Ocean Institute. They own this ship, and they give it free to scientists all around the world. And so they go out for however long it takes the mission to take, which is why we don't know. We are scheduled to go out on a certain date, and they said, we may not be able to tell you until a week beforehand. Or we might tell you we're leaving a week early. Or we might leave next year.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're in that kind of a limbo with the thing. And what we are is, we're on the last voyage of this particular ship, in that it's sailing from La Paz through the canal, through the Panama Canal, up along the coast of Africa to Vigo, Spain, where they are going to transfer the ship to a larger vessel called the Falkor 2, T-O-O. And Falkor is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the story, it's a children's story, The Never-Ending Story. There's a movie about it. Falkor is the dragon.
Ah,
It's the
okay.
comfort dragon. It really looks more like a puppy dog than
Right.
it does
Yeah, I
like a
always thought it was a
dragon.
dog.
And so that's the Falkor. That's the mindset of these people, right?
Yeah.
So they go out and do this really hardcore discovery of things. They've been involved with, you've heard about their finding out that New Zealand is not an island, it's a continent. They've thought there was, but they are part of the group that's been collecting data that says, yes, it is a continent because it's about the size of Australia, but it's underwater. But it was a continent, and that New Zealand's just the top of the mountains.
But,
They've discovered so many things like that, and they have junior scholastic kind of things where they ask people to go out there and give them impossible things to do, and they go out and try to do them. So it's a very interesting thing, and we're supposed to hook up with a major institution and broadcast daily back from the ship what's going on. And our partner on this end will be the Dali Museum. And they're into science, and Dali was into science, so they like this. And so we proposed it to them, and they immediately said yes, that this would happen. So there's a media person on board. We broadcast daily. We will probably, one of our shticks will be somewhere probably on the lower fantail where they can step off into the water if they want to. We'll probably get a temperature reading of the ocean, and we'll then drop an ice cube in the ocean and to symbolically cool the ocean. It will be made out of ocean water. It won't be fresh water. So, and that will be broadcast back as a thing. And then whatever else we're doing, and because there won't be any experiments on board this particular trip. They're just en route from La Paz, Mexico to Vigo, Spain. So we are probably the only people other than the crew on board, and it'll be interesting how it works, and it's a real privilege, and we of course have to produce a body of work. We have to commemorate the Falkor, which will then be selected by them from the body of work we do, and it will be major work hanging in the Falkor 2. So they'll be remembering this. We'll be writing stories about the crew, about past projects, about the voyage, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be multifaceted work that we do. We'll be doing paintings of the ship. We'll be doing stories of the adventure. We'll be doing ship's logs, which will be illustrated, and we'll be broadcasting things back. So
sounds
so
like
we
a
will be
great
doing that.
adventure.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't know what that goes through. I mean, it won't just go through the Dali. I think it just goes out.
Anywhere
Right.
you can post us and let us know
Oh
what's
yeah,
going on?
everybody. Yeah, the whole thing. Everybody
So
can
how do
follow
we
us.
connect? How do
Well,
we-
before we
don't
do
know.
this, let's, I wanted to have a motion to adjourn. We're still in session. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, sorry.
I don't know how to connect yet.
So I'm sure there'll probably be a social media, Facebook.
Oh yeah, yes. There's a person on board that does that.
Okay, so maybe you can connect to Joan
Oh,
and
yes,
Joan
yes, we
can,
will,
or,
definitely. The more people that this hooks up with, the more they like it.
oh, sure, of course.
Yeah, that's
What
awesome.
else do we need to do?
Let
for
me know if
next
you need
month?
another person.
I know, really, right?
Oh,
I could be free. I'll
Yeah.
ask Denise.
We've had people offer to hide in there.
Yes.
Of course, this is not a cruise liner.
Yeah.
I mean, they're berths,
I mean,
hardcore
when I
berths.
joined this
It's
committee,
It's a
we were,
research
we were
vessel.
allowed to
It
exchange
is a research, yeah,
information
it's a
Yeah.
research.
and do
So it's
these
not-
projects.
Nothing cushy about it.
I mean, there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
We're
are
getting there, but it's just-
beginning to believe that the Earth
Yeah,
is flat
I mean,
again. It would be funny if they
know,
started
I've been
circumnavigating
maintaining
the
for
globe
years.
to prove it.
Committee.
Or did